Hey, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Patrick on the Quorum team, and I'm so excited to show you all what's new with impact reports, new strategies to make stronger asks of lawmakers. When we were putting together this webinar, I was thinking about an experience I had, the first meeting I ever had with a legislator. I walked in, I was so excited. I had all these like national statistics, this like one pager of like what's going on in the country related to this issue. And I went up to the legislator. It's like, here's all this really cool info. He looked at it. He was like, cool, but what are you doing in our district? And I didn't really have an answer. And my 15-minute meeting turned into a 7-minute meeting pretty darn quick because I wasn't able to show what our real impact was for them specifically. So really excited to talk about impact reports, a way that I would have been able to make that ask in that meeting a lot more impactful by being able to show what's going on specifically with that member. A quick update on what you're seeing here. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a place for chat and Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions you have to our great speakers, Melissa and Henry. And in the chat, first off, I have a bet with Melissa that we have more people from the DC area than anywhere else on this webinar today. So please throw in the chat where you're from because a lunch is on the line. Also, we're going to be doing a poll throughout the webinar experience today. So make sure that you have that ready to go for you. Okay, so I'm seeing a bunch of folks from Columbus. Melissa, I think you might win this one. Seeing Pittsburgh, Seattle, Santa Monica, Washington State. That's close. I'll count that. St. Louis, Nebraska. All right, wow. So we have folks from all over the country today. That's fantastic. I'll go ahead and hand it over to Melissa and Henry. Melissa is a lot of the brains behind this product, so you can ask her some great questions on what's going on under the hood. And then Henry helps us with our clients with helping them make sure that they're actually getting value out of what they're seeing here today, working with some pretty cool clients of ours. So with that, I'll hand it over to Melissa and Henry.
Yeah, thanks very much, Patrick. Just a quick round of introductions here. My name is Henry Bowditch. I'm on Quorum's revenue team. I've been with the company about 6 years, and prior to Quorum, I was a lobbyist in Colorado. So if anyone here is joining from Colorado, give it a shout out in the chat. I'll let Melissa introduce herself before I dive in.
Thanks. Yes, my name's Melissa. I'm a senior product manager at Quorum. I've been with Quorum almost 6 years, worked on a variety of products. This one has been one of my favorites, and I am based in Washington, D.C. So looks like I'm a little outnumbered here.
Thanks, Melissa. I guess I'm in San Francisco. So to anyone else who's on the West Coast, thanks for making this webinar the first part of your morning. So before we dive into impact reports, we have people joining this webinar from kind of varying places of familiarity with our product and company. I know there are customers here. There are probably people who are new customers here. And then there are folks who may have never used Quorum in their role. And so before we dive into what we've built and how we think it will help users, I want to talk a little bit about what Quorum currently does for its customers and why we built this company, why we continue to invest in new features kind of 10 years down the road. So the big four things that Quorum does, Quorum is in the business of helping people understand when policy changes and helping people influence the policy landscape. And we do that through these kind of broad categories you see on the screen here. We help with policy monitoring through our legislative and regulatory tracking solution. And it's broader than just legislative and regulatory tracking. We also capture things like executive orders, which until last week were kind of a sleepy data set. We also capture things like White House documents, social media from lawmakers. We subscribe to every lawmaker's newsletter to constituents. We pull in their press releases. Quorum's policy monitoring tool pulls in far more sources than any other product on the market. And that's the core of what we're doing to help customers understand when policy changes. And the other three things up here kind of speak to the latter part of our mission, which is helping people influence the policy landscape. We have a grassroots advocacy solution, which we've had since the company was founded. And then in 2022, Quorum acquired the Phone to Action product. We have a PAC management solution, which came from our acquisition of Cision's Vocus business, is now integrated into the Quorum product. And we have a stakeholder engagement solution, which is a pretty big part of our functionality. I remember from my time as a lobbyist, I was always trying to remember, what did I talk to someone about last? What was someone's kid's name? And a big part of our product now is helping our customers keep track of who they know, how they know them, both public officials like lawmakers and their staff, but also non-public officials. Lots of organizations have a huge cast of characters who they interact with and want to keep track of those interactions in Quorum. And really our kind of the macro trend that Quorum is betting on is that the policy making process is becoming more chaotic, becoming more complex, not just policy making, but increasingly policy influencing. Lots of lawmakers are on social media platforms. 75% of lawmakers are on Facebook. About more than 50% are on Twitter, and more joining new products like Truth and Blue Sky. So a big part of our mission is to help people understand when lawmakers are talking about things and when lawmakers are actually doing things. And not only, as mentioned, has policymaking become more chaotic, but actually tracking what lawmakers are saying is more important now too. Lots and lots of even obscure lawmakers have huge followings, and it's become kind of the job of public affairs shops to understand, like, not only when something is going to change, but when lawmakers are talking about you or your industry to all of their followers. And so that macro trend, things becoming more sophisticated and the policymaking process becoming more chaotic, leads to a number of impacts on the public affairs shops we work with. We do a number of surveys to understand kind of what our customers and even non-customers are feeling about the environment they're operating in. Probably the biggest one, when you layer on more complexity to a profession, but you don't generally increase the number of people in that profession, lead to a staffing issue. And so the first two kind of big challenges we found across the market from surveys last year were, like, public affairs teams feel understaffed. They feel there's too much stuff to track, which is a big part of our value proposition. The other thing is, the kind of third kind of big challenge here is that while policy making has kind of quickened in its pace, it's difficult for lots of our customers to get their advocates and employees to engage at the same speed at which lawmakers are moving. This again was something I dealt with really acutely when I was a lobbyist, of like, I'd have half a day to find someone to bring them in to testify on a committee hearing the next day. So that's a big one. And then the fourth one here is really what we want to talk about today. Like, it's hard to get the attention of lawmakers, which is why Quorum, a big part of our strategy and a big part of our mission, is continuing to think of and then build things that will help our customers get the attention of lawmakers, make interactions more valuable. And so that's, like, Melissa's core job at Quorum, is understanding, like, what these challenges are and brainstorming solutions and then bringing them to market. And a big part of the Impact Reports product is helping our customers get the attention of lawmakers and helping them make those conversations more meaningful by being more specific in the asks and the data that you're bringing to those conversations. And Quorum has another take on this problem too, which is that, siloed activity compounds the problem. Lots and lots of public affairs teams operate in information silos. Every 2 years, lots and lots of state lawmakers become federal lawmakers. Local lawmakers become state lawmakers, and those interactions and relationships within teams aren't shared to the next teams. What we hear a lot of on Quorum's team are, like, grassroots teams who are doing a great job with activations and campaigns and delivering lots and lots of messages to the Hill, but those messages aren't being shared with the federal team, the lobby team, who's actually going in and having conversations with staffers. And so while our core product, what we're in the business of doing is, like, legislative tracking, grassroots advocacy, stakeholder engagement, PAC management, the kind of underlying value add here is that, like, we're in the business of helping a customer improve internal efficiency, help share information within and between teams. The end goal is that any user on our product can go look at an official profile that can say, hey, I have to have a meeting with a staffer in Representative DeGette's office, and I've never met with Rep. DeGette before. I've never met with their office before, but in Quorum, I can see every bill that Rep. DeGette has introduced or co-sponsored. I can see all of her social media activity. I can see all the grassroots messages that my team has delivered to this office. I can see the PAC contributions if we've made any. I can see previous team interactions with this staffer, with this official. And part of impact reports is being able to take that data and pull it out so that you can brief someone else, an executive going into that meeting, or that you can generate a leave behind for that official. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa to talk a little bit about, like, I've gone through the vision of Quorum, but with impact reports, why'd we build it and why we're excited to bring it to you today.
Thank you, Henry. So as Henry kind of alluded to, a big part of my job is talking to users and our organizations about what's taking up a lot of time for them, what can technology help with, not just how it's going for them using Quorum, but what are other problems we can solve for our users. And some of what we heard of what's taking a ton of time is building a good leave behind that they can share when they go in these meetings or host fly-ins. So a couple challenges that they were having is the manual time that it took. If they were trying to do this manually, that meant they could only refresh them annually. They couldn't keep it up to date if there was, redistricting, a special election, and some of our users only had time to do it only every 2 years. If they weren't doing it manually, some of them were outsourcing this to designers that just had limited public affairs expertise. And again, if they were doing it either manually or outsourcing it, because of the high cost and time involved in that, it limited them to only being able to generate this for all 50 states. And to Patrick's point, not really being able to show up to a meeting with a member of Congress and tell the district level story. And so that's where we came in. We said, we've got all of the key data. We have the footprint data. We've got the officials data that we keep up to date after redistricting, as well as pulling in the grassroots advocacy data, the PAC data. We have this all-in-one solution to everything that you might want to demonstrate on an impact report. So that's a big reason we have built this, is to solve those high cost problems for users, the time it was taking, and make sure that they could have the most impactful meetings. So I'll show you a couple examples that we've built just with our professional services team of what you can display on a one-pager. So this first example here is just if you are a corporation and you want to leave behind a one-pager with a meeting with an office, some key things you can include. One is just tell your story, what is your organization, put your key description on there, and then a map to really illustrate your impact in the district. Not just like that you're in the district, but how you are spread throughout the district. And you can do this both in congressional districts as well as at the state level. And then being able to highlight the key things that you want to demonstrate. So what's your, total facilities in that lawmaker's district? What's the number of employees? Anything about the economic impact? All of this you can do with Quorum, and we can actually map it for you, but once we have the data, map it to each district and aggregate it for those final numbers at the bottom. And we will do that, just automatically for all the officials. This next example is pretty similar, but if you are, maybe wanting to leave behind something for an association or give to your advocates to share at a fly-in. Again, you can see we've really made clear what the key ask is at the top, why support small businesses, and even added in a quote to really add that human element to the one-pager. And again, picking out the key things. This example here is the tax contributions, the number of veterans employed by small businesses within a lawmaker's district, as well as the number of small businesses total. So very similar, but you can see it has lots of different use cases, whether it's an advocate or one of your staff members meeting with a member of Congress. And then beyond the, external facing one-pagers, you can also use this for some internal prep. So we heard a lot of users that they were responsible, maybe somebody on their team was going to an event or a dinner where a member of Congress would be present, and they needed to quickly know, what has our team been recently meeting about with this official's office, the key votes? Again, what's our impact in the district? So beyond just the key points, you can actually outline specifically each facility, the number of employees, put all of that in a nice table view. And we've got a lot more information about a lawmaker that you might need to know. So their bio, what committees are they on? What are they recently posting on Twitter relevant to our issue area? All of this, again, is in Quorum, keeping up to date. So once you've got the template created, you can just quickly download this before your next event and see all the up-to-date information and really help prep your team internally. So this is also same kind of concept. You make the template once, and then as soon as you download it, it's up to date. So I'll share some tips that we've learned through helping our users make these, and you'll see they really are kind of demonstrated on the previous examples, but definitely you'll want to keep it concise, limit it to 1 pages, maybe 2 max, and include a map that really demonstrates, the visual distribution that you have across a district. You want to highlight the key points. There's a lot that you can demonstrate as an organization, and we can help you think of some of those. But some examples might include how many jobs are you creating for this district? What are the charitable contributions you've made? Maybe how many members you have? How many underserved population members are you employing? There's a ton that you can include on here. So picking out the most meaningful ones, especially aligned with what your ask is for the lawmaker. And very importantly is having a very polished display. Of course, you want it to be aligned with your branding. You can include your logo on there. You can include key, here's how to contact us for more information, and definitely make it visually engaging. So you can draw their eye exactly to what your ask is. And very similar, making it actionable. So instead of just like an overview, put your talking points on there about what you want them to know. Maybe you want to include specific details about a vote. All of that stuff are great things to include on there. And so the previous examples I showed you was all kind of designed by a professional services team, but within Quorum, you can also build these yourself. So we have a self-serve option where you can choose from a library of examples. And basically what you'll do is you'll choose the layout you want based on what we've provided, and we'll customize that to your organization colors, and then you can edit it however you'd like. But that can help save you a lot of time getting you started and already having those tips already applied. And we've got this is very new, state-of-the-art tools to help you customize not just the colors and the font and the layout, but you can get really, really detailed if you have that eye for design and you want to, get into the padding of things, the width of the images, all of that is in your control. And very importantly is once you have made this template, it's just 1 click to apply it to all hundreds of officials. You don't need to do one for each member of Congress. And you can keep this up to date. You can use the template and download it in 1 click throughout the year. And of course, as we mentioned, we've got the data already updated in Quorum. You don't need to go search websites and figure out the latest committee memberships, the latest posts, the latest votes. That all is auto updating in Quorum with our legislative products. So no extra work needed for you on that. And so I'll just give you a quick preview of how it is working. Oh, let's see if I can. Oh, it looks like I can't play this video, but that's okay. Basically, what you'll do is you'll go into Quorum. If you're familiar with the previous download center, it's a new place in Quorum, but very similar. And what's new is choosing from the predefined library of options. And then if you're familiar with our Outbox tool, it's the same sort of customization options that we give you for the newsletter, which is also super helpful. If you're familiar with one thing in Quorum of how to design, it's that consistent experience. So you don't need to learn a new tool, brand new.
All right, thanks, Melissa. And I think at this point, having seen kind of the overview of this information, I think we're sharing our first poll. And as we do that, I do want to get into talking about how some of our best customers are bringing this feature to life. And so as those who are Quorum customers know, Quorum is both a data processor and a data provider. We've talked a lot about how impact reports can be used to visualize Quorum data, but they can also be visualized to be used to visualize your own data. And so I have a few kind of practical examples I want to talk through here. And so we have some customers already, and we're excited to expand this capability to additional customers who want to bring their own kind of footprint data into the Quorum product. And I have an example of Melissa walked through a little bit what this looks like through her example, but the kind of way that we envision customers using this is through leave behinds for offices. And we have some great examples right now. We actually have 2 managed care companies using Quorum who have brought in an enormous amount of data into our product. And they gave us the addresses for all their facility locations, so it's hospitals. And they each have between like 5 and 15 numerical data points tied to each facility, so that anytime they go and meet with an official, they can pull up the official's state or district and say, hey, in your district, here's how many people we employ, how many pensions we pay, how many pro bono surgeries we provided. And it gives them this really awesome story to share with that official that's district specific or state specific if they're a member. To answer one of the questions in the chat, this kind of data visualization capability is available both at the federal and state level. And one of those managed care companies is doing it this at the state level as well, so they can go talk to state reps about, hey, here's where we are in your district, and here's what we're doing, and here's that kind of economic footprint data. Towards the beginning, I mentioned like a big part of our product is helping customers get the attention of lawmakers, and something that Quorum has been really good at for a very long time through our grassroots product is delivering stories from people directly to lawmakers. And what we envision with this product is that you'll both be able to continue doing that. You'll be able to continue to deliver stories from employees or advocates to lawmakers, but you can also share the hard economic data that you have about your impact on a state or a district, both at the federal and state levels. And so you can kind of tie together both the kind of qualitative elements of your advocacy program with the kind of quantitative elements of your advocacy program. The other thing I want to share here is that all of this is available on our mobile app. And in 2024, we put forward a significant amount of engineering effort to refresh the mobile app's capabilities, to improve usability for those who are using it, particularly because this is a big part of how some users interact with our product. They're using our mobile app like in committee rooms and in Ubers on the way to engagements. And so the kind of visualization of footprint data is also available in a mobile setting. And so if you're at an event and you run into a staffer, you can pull up your phone and show them exactly where you are in their district or in their state. And so this is one of the capabilities we're really excited to announce, because so many of these interactions, particularly in DC, happen on the fly, or particularly in state legislatures, happen in like the galleries outside of the chambers. And so bringing this to the mobile app was kind of completing our vision of helping our customers advocate anywhere they are. We also had a question in the Q&A about our email functionality. And so I want to point out that the kind of footprint data and being able to take a customer's data and ingest it into the Quorum product and then map it to the correct districts, this is also something that we can bring into our email tool. And so Outbox, what we call our email functionality, can incorporate placeholders, which is how our customers already are using, you can see at the top recipient first name, how they're making messages personalized, even if they're delivering those messages to a huge number of people. What you can also do is bring in that footprint data through placeholders as well. So if you draft a message to, every health staffer, every Democratic health staffer, you can also bring in, the footprint data to explain kind of your impact on their district or on their members' district. And so Outbox is a tool that we built very early on at Quorum to help customers stay top of mind. Quorum is delivering by far the most messages to the Hill and state legislatures than any other product on the market. And now you're able to bring in that footprint data into those messages to make the engagements all the more powerful as well. A really key part of Quorum is the kind of reporting functionality that we offer as well. And so this is a screen grab of our Sheets tool. Sheets underwent a pretty significant upgrade last year as well to improve the usability, kind of filterability of Sheets. But our Sheets tool is like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet, but it's auto updating with Quorum data. And so in this case, you're looking at a sheet of kind of footprint data points, facility data points. And next to each one, you can see where it is. We map those facilities you give us directly to the appropriate district, as you can see in the first two columns. And then you can see additional data about about those facilities next to that. We can also bring in, obviously, if you're giving us kind of your data, we also have census data that we can map to districts as well. And so how some of our customers are using this information is to take, the total population of a district and then bring in the total number of employees they have and be able to show lawmakers, hey, this is, what percentage of your district, are either consuming our products or employed at our facilities. Can be a really effective way to show your impact on a particular district. And the final piece of this is like just creating alignment across the entire team. And so the way that some of our best customers do this now is by creating a sheet of officials, either all officials, or very commonly they will narrow it down to priority officials or officials on a particular committee. So they're able to see like who are the officials on, the Senate Banking Committee. How many interactions has our team had with these people? And then in the next column, be able to see like what do they represent from our company? How many employees do we have in those districts or in those states? How many facilities? What's the economic impact? And so kind of the line I keep returning to is, how do our best users use Quorum? And it's oftentimes by marrying up the data that we provide, the officials and staffers and districts, and as Melissa got into, the bios and all the data that we have on officials. And it's tying all of that together with the data that they're able to provide us. So it's tying together both kind of customer data and Quorum data in one place. We can really effectively align some of the functions that are using our product. And so I will mention, not only do we have these kind of capabilities that we've rolled out, but we also have a dedicated DC-based professional services team who is able to help you. If you like these one-pagers or leave-behinds a lot, and you're thinking, well, it would be great if we had these, I'm not sure I'm the one capable of designing them myself. And that's true for me. I did not design, I deliberately do not design slides because I know I'm not good at it. And if that's you, we have a team that can provide that. We have a professional services offering who can put these together on top of the templates that we already provide in the product. And so we can make them look really professional and make sure you're really confident heading into those engagements, whether it's generating leave behinds, or another really common example here is like internal briefings for executives that may be coming to these engagements with you as well. So if you find yourself in that camp thinking these are great, I'm not sure I'm the one to handle the design, you can rely on our team for that as well.